Hi, so we are going to talk for a minute about something that happened recently. If you've been following stuff, you probably know that the US House recently just passed a federal trans sports ban. And it is worth noting that this is going to die. Like, it's not a bill that's actually going to succeed. It's going to die in the Senate. And if by some like freak of lightning, like for some reason, like an accident happens and like we actually live in like the Thanos timeline, it doesn't die in the Senate, Biden is going to veto it. So we're not at risk for this to actually like become a law, but I still wanted to talk about it. I have this article here. It is by the Congressional Equality Caucus. This is from almost 2 months ago at this point, because this was when it was moved through committee, I believe, basically condemning it. It's your standard trans sports ban. It essentially bans trans girls. It might actually like talk about trans men too. I don't actually know. I didn't look at the actual bill, and the article doesn't mention it, but it specifically at least bans trans women from competing in women's sports in schools. This is what like that bill does. I just kind of wanted to bring that up for a second. And then we're never going to look at that again, because I kind of want to talk more about the overall, like what this means with regards to it, because this is something that is going to die. We're not actually at risk of this bill like passing and becoming a law. But the reason I wanted to talk about it was because it is kind of important. Okay. This is kind of an indication that the using trans people as like a culture war thing for conservatives is not going to be relegated to just the state level, which is what we've been mostly seeing. A lot of the trans sports bills, a lot of the healthcare bans, a lot of the like bathroom bills, all of this stuff has been segregated to the state level or the local level with regards to the actual policy making. And the reason for that has mostly been that they just don't have the numbers. Broadly speaking, even Republicans really don't support this shit that much. We saw that with the bans in Kentucky, where the majority of even the Republican Party did not support actually banning trans healthcare. Now, it might be a little bit different with the sports bans as like compared to the healthcare bans when we're talking about like Republican support, but for the most part, this stuff isn't really all that popular, broadly speaking, and Republicans don't have the numbers to be able to get shit like this passed. However, it's important that we note that they are doing it anyway, even not having the numbers. This is more of a symbolic thing. It's kind of signaling to their base that they are going to continue doing this. And why we should care about that is recently, anyway, I've been seeing a lot of kind of weird stuff on Twitter and in the kind of like leftist cultural zeitgeist that happens every time it gets close to an election year, which is the nothing matters and the Democrats are useless and we shouldn't vote and we shouldn't do anything. And like, we need to just like tear the whole system down and we need to do accelerationism and we need to like make things worse so that everyone will do a revolution and all of these weird things. Okay. And I want to point out that I'm seeing like a rise in this mostly because it's getting towards an election year, but we're seeing a rise in this because obviously people are frustrated that the Democrats aren't being as hard on the trans stuff as we would want. I am the first to admit that. Biden sucks, the Democrats sucks, they could do better on literally every single issue, and they could especially do better on queer and trans issues. That said, it is worth noting, I want to preemptively like address the people who are going to say that none of this matters and you shouldn't vote and you should vote like for, you know, candidates that are only going to get 0.01% of the vote in the fall, that the reason why this stuff didn't pass is because we have Democrats in office right now. If you think there is a chance that we are going to get a bunch of like DSA candidates into the House, you are mistaken. It's not possible. Not right now. I would like to see a world where it is. I would like to see a world where we can have more third-party candidates, but we can't in the system that we have. We need to be putting our focus into like realistic goals, because right now we're facing fascism and they want to eradicate trans people. And I can't afford to not vote. I can't afford to not care. I can't afford to not give a shit about Democrats being the only, very thin, but only thing standing between us and Republicans going mask off on genociding us. We need to care about this, and we need to knock it off with the weird, like, nothing matters political apathy. Don't vote for any Democratic politicians. They're not going to do anything for you. What we need to be doing is pushing people to the left. And we need to be getting in people who are going to do what we want. The more we pressure Democrats to concede to our demands, the more they will do so, because they value political relevance more than anything. You're not getting your random third-party independent running candidate to win in really almost any district. Even in the examples where there are third-party candidates that win, it happens very irregularly and usually doesn't last. Now, this changes at the local level. The local level, there is more chance for third-party candidates to win. And I would actually encourage people to try to get more people at the local level to push things to the left, to get more independent third-party candidates. If you can, if it's smart. There are going to be areas where it is not. Take my area, for instance. This is the area that I live in, the area where I am streaming from right now, is a Republican stronghold. It is gerrymandered to hell. There is no way that a Democrat can win in this county, let alone someone on the DSA. You have to be smart about it. Focus on the fights that we can win, focus on the fights that we need to win, and then focus on the fights that we want to win. Right now, we need to win this one. And this weird, accelerationist or weird apathetic desire to do nothing in the face of literal fascism and literal genocide is real stupid, and it's real frustrating. And I need all of you to knock it the hell off. Yes, with Outro, build up the progressive movement. Yeah, Doomerism, and it's bullshit. I have, on my channel, from the start, been a very fierce advocate for not doing political doomerism. I have fought back against that from the beginning, and I'm not going to stop, by the way. I'm going to continue, and that's what I'm doing in this segment. The reason why we need to care about this transports bill going through the House is Republicans don't have the votes now. Do not get complacent. That does not mean they won't have the votes in the future. And I need you all to understand, we have a conservative Supreme Court. We narrowly lost the House. We only narrowly have the Senate. And our president is Biden. Now, it may sound like I am trying to doomer pill you all, but I'm actually trying to show you this is what we're fighting for, because this is where we're at. 2024 matters. Okay? 2024 matters, and even though we have such a thin line between us and literal fascist genocide, we need to keep that. We need to keep that thin line. We're talking about the real thin blue line here, not the fake one that conservatives love. The real thin blue line between us, trans people, literal fascists genociding us. I don't want to see that. And we need to care about this shit because we are coming up on an election year. We are going to start seeing the fucking doomerist accelerationist. And this is why we have to not do that. Because if we do that, if we lay down and do nothing, we try to do our spoiler candidates that aren't going to win. We try to elect people that have no chance. We don't take our W's when we get them. We're going to see the Senate or the presidency, or both, being taken over, whether it's narrow or not, by the Republicans. The Republicans only need a narrow victory. See, that's the thing that a lot of people don't seem to realize is the Democrats do need a lot larger of a victory to get a lot of shit done than what Republicans do. Republicans just need a narrow victory. They've already set themselves up with the Supreme Court. Roe v. Wade is already gone. They've been using that justification to look at other court cases. We know that if this stuff gets challenged, we don't have the Supreme Court on our side. We can't trust them to do what is actually right. And this shit indicates that the Republicans are still going to do this. They are taking what is currently at the state and local level, and they are going to bring it onto the national stage, more than they already have. And I want to point out, too, that we have a lot of people in Congress right now. I'm looking at you, Marjorie Taylor Greene. We have a lot of people in Congress that are actively trying to get what's going on at the state level to happen at the national level. They're not going to stop with this trans sports ban. Arguably one of the least consequential things. They're going to go after federal bans on transition care. And if you think they're just going to stop with minors, we can already see at the state level that that is not the case. Missouri just literally made it functionally impossible for a lot of people, even if they're adults, to get trans healthcare. They're going to try to do that shit nationwide. They're going to do the bathroom bills. They're going to do the healthcare bans. They're going to do the drag bans. They're going to go after anything to make it to where our ability to live in public and then later to live at all is essentially forfeit. And this shit is indicative of that. We need to not ignore it. And we need to not do the doomer. I don't want you to think that this is hopeless, okay? Because it's not. Currently, like I said, this shit is going to die. We have the Senate, we have the presidency. You know, we've got something, but it is going to be difficult. And we need to ensure that we can keep what we have so that we can actively try to build for something better. Because we're not going to be able to do it when the fascists are actually at our doors. If you think that having a Republican-controlled presidency with the House and the Senate is going to make us able to fight fascism easier, I've got a lot of bridges to sell you. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Do you understand this? This stuff matters because it's going to matter a hell of a lot more in the future. This is where the battleground is going to be. We need to not sink into doomerism and let the fascists win. That was the whole point of this. I'm just using the trans sports ban as a springboard to talk to you all about this, because honestly, that is the most important part of it. This bill is going to die. They're not going to be able to pass it. That's pretty evident. But we may not always have that, and we need to not do what I'm already seeing people doing, which is saying that nothing matters, that the Dems are useless, that we shouldn't vote for them, that we should vote third party, that we shouldn't vote at all, that we should do the accelerationist thing. No, that. I can't afford to do that. A lot of trans people can't either. Yes, remember what we are fighting for. That's really all I gotta say. You know, been kind of repeating myself, so we're gonna go ahead and end this here. Thanks for watching. Hi, thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to the channel. And if you want to support the channel further, consider leaving a donation at streamlabs.com/sagealexis/tip, becoming a channel member by clicking the join button, or going to patreon.com/sagealexis and becoming a patron. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.